I'd rather have 100 fans and followers that are fully engaged. I mean, talking, chatting, community, than 10,000 that are just passive.
You're watching something and you're not engaged in it, then it won't matter if it's shot in the best studio on the planet. Right.
Nobody knew what that was. We invented that position. And now every kid from 10 years old to 50 years old is a social media manager.
All right. So today we're going to talk about courage. And what I want to really think about are 3 parts of courage. The first thing is story. Everybody has a story. The relevance to that story to your audience is only discernible if you actually tell the story. The second part of this, let's just call it courage, which 1, we've talked about story, but 2 is your ability to actually share your wisdom. Now, wisdom and knowledge are 2 very different things. We're going to get into that. And the third thing is your distribution. So, are you courageous to tell your story? Are you courageous to bring your wisdom with your story? And are you courageous enough to distribute your story? That's what we're going to talk about today. James, thanks for having me, man.
Oh, so welcome to the big parlor, big mouth parlor.
Yes, this is, I almost feel like we're at a change in the guard.
Absolutely. Yes, we are the content creators. We are the kings of the universe right now. Content has always been king.
Yeah.
It's always been the thing, but, technology, advancements, change in culture, how we process things has really upended the media world, the landscape, really. It's kind of been edging that way for years now, but really it's come full circle in the last couple of years, and it's pretty amazing, and as an ads person, guy that has run millions of dollars worth of ads, I see it coming down the road. It's conversations, but also distribution of those conversations organically, right? The little ads sprinkled all over it.
Right.
Just a little fuel to get things kicked off, but really, it's all about building community and audiences, right? And credibility and trust and all of that goes with that.
And, I talk about this being courageous because I think it's important for people to understand that there is, or the viewer or watcher, you, the person who is thinking about this, why they should do it, is because you have an unlimited amount of activity and experiences that somebody else hasn't had. Your truth, the things that you've seen, the wisdom that you've gained, they're all important things. And the question is, are you willing to share that? If you want to share that, there's unlimited wealth. And I don't mean that in just money. I mean that as in relationships. I mean that as in health and all the things that relate back to being able to tell your story. Now, we know that there are coaches, consultants, and let's just say business owners who are willing to put themselves out there that just don't do it.
No.
And we're stymied by people who have the excuses of, I don't have time, I don't have the ability to do it, I don't have the technology, I don't have the ability to think through things, I don't know the subjects, I don't know anything that, would relate to my topic because I just don't know how to explain it. These are all typical excuses. And the world's not going to wait for you any longer because there's too many of us that are going to be too many places doing too many things with other people that are going to shoot ahead. And that's where we are right now. And I feel this as being the next change of the guard. Now, I'll say this. How many years have we been at this?
Enough. I mean, since 2010, 11. So we're coming around 15 years at this point.
Right.
So we've seen a couple things.
So back in the day, you and I met in early 2011 or something like that, 2012, whatever it was. There wasn't the resources. There wasn't the access. There really even wasn't social media. I mean, it was a very, very fledgling thing going on. So you had to run ads. You had to, let's just say, spend in order to really get yourself out there. Now, that hasn't really changed. It's just migrated, right? And I think people need to understand that what we talk about in this conversation about being courageous, about telling your story and, doing this whole, what we call organic distribution, is actually even morphed into interest. Now let's talk about interest and how that's impacted the world that we're in.
Well, I mean, look, there are certain elements of advertising, marketing, and so forth that are true, stand true to time, right? And interest, it's niches. That's what you talk about interest. We used to call it niche. It's just a niche advertising opportunity. That's all it is. And it's really gotten bigger now. It's become the main point of marketing. Find your audience, right? However big or small that may be, right? I'm a local plumber, right? I take care of 5 towns. That's great. So if your audience is 2,000 people max, that's all you need because that 2,000 reverberates, and that's how it works. So take the media landscape as we know for the last, I don't know, 50, 60 years, where maybe 5, 6 companies had that kind of power to be able to influence. Now that power lies in people like us to be able to capture those moments, tell those stories and distribute it, like Matt has been saying, right? So that's the power of interest, is finding who is your niche interest and talk to them, not at them, to them.
Right.
Have a conversation, right? Authenticity. That's a word you're going to see get thrown around a lot. And you say it so much that maybe sometimes it loses its authenticity, but that's exactly what it is. And I think that's, to your point, where people have a hard time getting their head around it.
Right.
Because marketing as we know it since forever has been, the glossy, the pretty, the staged throwaway lines. And now we're telling people, hey, come on, talk about your business, your pet, your wife, and the community meeting you went to last week for your kid. Right. And they're like, what? Why? I own a clothing store. Doesn't matter. Right. Your audience they want to know about you. Right. And that is kind of where this is all going right now. And to your point, I think a lot of people are slow to catching up to this because it's just a different concept. And like you said, social media back in 2011 was non-existent, but then it became existent. I was pitching social media. I'm a social media ads manager in 2010. Nobody knew what that was.
Right.
Nobody knew what that was. We invented that position. And now every kid from 10 years old to 50 years old is a social media manager. So here we are ahead of the curve again, Matt.
Yeah.
And that is what's going on right now, is that we're ahead and we're trying to drag everyone along with us that's willing to, take a step, a leap of faith, right? By telling your story, about, your plumbing company and, how sometimes it's annoying when you come home and your dog peed on the floor. Like stuff like that. Like why would I put that into my marketing? Because that's what draws people in. That's what builds
Yeah.
trust with your audience.
And I think, well, I mentioned this from the very beginning, which is it's courageous to do that.
Yeah.
Because it takes a little bit, and I don't mean the fact that this is difficult. It takes a little bit of actually being exposed, your real life. And we've noticed this, is that the people who will actually share their life as part of their business, as part of the relationship capital they're building with their audience, whether it's customers or patients or whatever they're trying to do with their business, is that they have to think that the customer is a person, not a target, not a dollar value. And we're going beyond that today with our retrospect of what we're doing with this organic marketing. Over the last couple of months, we've built a machine that's pumping out 1,000 pieces of content going out into distribution. All the 7 major networks, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, and LinkedIn, and YouTube, and the list goes on. There's such a larger audience to now have an impact. Now, that doesn't mean that you put out content that's not valuable, meaning that you're just taking your conversation and trying to sell people. You're creating a tertiary relationship with people. And what that means to you and what it means to most people who are now starting to view you is that the proof is that you are becoming relative in their world. You are becoming part of their dialogue. Now, think of this sort of as a soap opera. Imagine the continual story that you can put out there about your business, about your life, about the relationships, about the things that you're doing, and people are actually interested in you. Not your business, but they're interested in you. This is when things change. Do you realize that this society has been built on these national characters that we see every single day, the whole world that we work through is thinking about characters, people, whether they're politically focused or they're, let's just say, movie focused, or for lack of intensive purposes, we'll just say media focused. We are watching people a lot. You can become one of these people. You don't have to be a rock star, or you don't have to be a superstar or a model, but what you do have to do is provide your wisdom. And that's when your truth gets told. Your truth is different than my truth. My truth is different from the truth that James is. Our truths are all different, but what they all have in common is they share a common storyline that we've done something. Now, in my case, I built and sold a seven-figure business. I actually made it to the Inc. 5000 list. These are things that are rare. Now, how did I get there? That's my story. That's my truth. Those courageous moments where I had to actually do the things that people don't want to do. Now, who do you serve and why is what you have to think about. James, think about this. We all know something that can help people. And I think that if you, as a business owner, or let's just say you're trying to become a better business owner, which most people are trying to do, how do you have an impact? Well, how do you tell your story? What's the things that you do? What are the elements that make you, you? What are the things that people are interested in when you have a conversation? Why are you doing this? All of those storylines you can commit and then start to distribute. Remember, it's you, it's your competitors, it's the forces of the market. Do you want to tell your story? You should be, because you're listening to this particular interview where we're talking about telling a story, and you're listening to talking about telling a story. I'm sure you're interested in doing this on your own. What are you going to do? Let's talk about that.
Well, I'll take my story.
Right.
Okay. We are sitting in a podcast parlor. And I'm calling it a parlor because a parlor is a place where we have conversations. And that I've designed this, what you can't see behind the camera is, and what you're saying is, I want to be able to draw out people's stories, right? And to do that, you have to be in a comfortable setting, right? It's hard to draw out somebody's deepest, darkest moments, while you're answering 5 phones and doing everything else, and you just can't, right? So what I've done is I wanna create a place where people can come and feel comfortable, kick their feet up, have something to drink, bullshit a little bit, like we did right before now in our little lounge area, right? And that is the thrust of storytelling, and I think to get our heads around where what Matt's been saying is, and I've always been kind of he's been pushing on the distribution end of it, and I've been kind of setting up the storytelling end of it, right? Because that really sets it all off, right? Is to be able to speak your truth, so to say, tell your story. I mean, these are just kind of words with jargon that we throw around, but that's what it is. Listen to this. You ever go to a party and you sit in the kitchen for 5 hours and you talk about everything and anything? That's what this is. That's what we're doing here, is formatted, right? With some structure, obviously, but the meat, the red meat of it is the stories, is being able to, and more people lean in when you're telling that story and you can feel the engagement, right? And that's what's going on with what Matt is saying with organic content and being able to become storytellers. That's what I want here at Big Mouth Parlor, is storytellers, right? Whatever that story is, I don't care. I'm a veterinarian, I'm a doctor, whatever. I'm a DPW worker who's looking to start a sports collection business. Great. That must be some real interesting story. Picking up garbage by day, selling jerseys by night, right? It's this conflict. It's what do they say in stories, right? It's always about the arc. Hey, you set it up, you got your little conflict, you come back down. That's everybody's life right now as marketers, advertisers. It's how do you foster those stories,
Correct.
right? And get people to, Matt's very first point, to become courageous, right? And say, just say it, just talk about it, right? We can edit things, right? Now, naturally, you want to free flow and less edits, the better, but still, and I think that's to your point where people are scared. It's hard to put yourself out there, Matt. Like, people physically get sick from speaking in front of people. Like
Sure.
it's an actual physical ailment that people have. So you've got to, like I said, to my point, is to foster that,
Mm.
right? And let them know, listen, this is going to be okay, right? Tell your story. And here's the thing: once they get a taste of actual feedback from whoever their audience is, you're off to the races. It's like anything else in life. I don't care if you're 10 years old or 60 years old. Everyone's always looking for approval, right? In the classroom, in the office, with your wife, with your girlfriend. Same thing with doing marketing. I want approval. And that's, I think, what scares a lot of people too. Are they going to like it? I don't know. I liked when I just did a flyer with 15 bullet points on it. This is what I sell, and buy it.
Right. Well, and the proof is in the pudding. Customer I started with back in, I'd say like May or June of 2024. It's approximately about a year ago. The story of someone who was in real trouble. We're talking negative profitability, losing money, minus $10,000, $20,000 a month, trying to figure it out, came upon me. In fact, James, you were the one who asked me, and I had said, okay, I I don't know what to do yet, but I'll figure it out because I knew that there was an answer. So the individual, and we can certainly mention names because they're happy to talk about this because of the thrust that's happened in their business. But this individual was particularly upset because it was a do or die situation. Having to pay payroll, having a lot of loans due, having a business that was failing. As soon as we started to discuss, let's get your story out there. Let's get your story into production. Now, we went very aggressive because we knew that there was limited time. And these limitations are actually the things that help propel him faster than anybody else. So going from a business that was struggling, doing about $100,000 of revenue, and now doing almost $400,000 of revenue with a positive profit of over $100,000 a month. These things happen because we put stories into production. We actually did a lot of live videos because we knew that that was a thing that instantaneously could generate profit. And we can do that through TikTok and Facebook and YouTube. You can actually do live storytelling. And these Q&A type of dialogues are the things that propelled him forward. These things are the, let's just say, the intricate nuances that are happening today in the market. You can do what we're doing today, which is you can do a podcast or a show, and then you can distribute it. You can also do live broadcasting, and you can do live events that also create more tertiary traffic that you're ready to do when you actually have the courageousness in your heart to tell your wisdom. And that's what I keep going back to, which is that this takes not just mental effort, it takes the effort of someone's heart. If you're going through this and you're thinking, hey, in your brain, I've got this knowledge, I could do this, I know I could do this. Think twice because it's really important is connecting with your audience through your heart. Now, I've noticed this, and it's been a change in my way of thinking. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I realized that people think on two different planes. They think about money and wealth and perspective of trying to get their business to flow faster and all these things that relate to the dollar signs that they see in their minds when they start thinking about advertising and marketing. They're thinking like, if I can put money in, I can get money out. But actually what today is more important is to put your wisdom and your heart into your dialogue so that you can actually transpose people into not necessarily believing in you, but wanting to know more about you. And now you've got a story. Now you've got people who are willing to go along with you. And there is the whole matter of this business, what we call organic marketing. Because if you're telling your story from your heart and you're telling your story from a place that has got introspective and depth, you're never going to be able to now be battling AI, right? Because that's the big thing that people are concerned about. Oh, well, all of the world is passionate about AI and they're going to change the world and it's going to be easier. That will never be a focus. If you want to make money and you want to make things go forward, it's got to be from your heart. because the end of the rope here is that your actual existence, your soul, is in this dialogue. And then that is the real courageousness that comes out.
Yeah, I hate AI. I hate AI. I'm not a I just I don't hate it. I see the benefits of it. I see, like, there could be a robot operating this camera at some point. I totally get it. But it's just another one of those things, again, coming up through the social media world, right? I saw this happen already. No, 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 maybe, maybe, maybe. Okay, okay, okay. How come we're not doing it?
Right.
This is the evolution of a business, anybody for that matter, but, talking about businesses, this is how to, no, no, it's resistance, resistance, resistance. And I, going through the social media era, right? I made it more than a tool. And going forward now with content, looking at I am going to purposely keep it as just a tool and not the thing, right? Because that's what happened with social media. It started with a great way to communicate with people, but here we are 15 years in, and now we're really having a serious conversation from a business standpoint, how important content is. That's crazy, right? We got caught up in the technology and the functionalities and, oh my God, and every day is a new thing. And the same thing's going to happen with AI. And every day is a new thing and it does this and it does that. But in the end, it's about what's in your heart. That's what sells. Not, I hate to use the word sells. That's what captures people, right? Is the authenticity of your story. And like I said, it was there in the beginning of social media, and technology kind of overwhelmed it. And here we are at the beginning of AI, right? What our job is, I believe, is to make sure our foundations are in original, authentic conversations to bring out, to engage, to grab people in, right? So back to AI, I've been into this rodeo already. I know how this goes. Yes, it's gonna do this, it's gonna do that, whatever. But in the end, it's a tool, right? We're still humans. The Terminator hasn't happened just yet,
Mm.
right? We're still gonna have to run things here. It's gonna have to, still gonna have to operate as human beings in some way, shape, or form. So my advice to people, businesses, just kind of sit back in the cut, let it develop, and then pick your spots of where to integrate this kind of stuff, right? Especially within the storytelling world, what this whole, conversation is about today. How do you integrate that into this? You know, it is certain things you can do, but
Right.
this is what matters most, right? Can you use AI to help distribute it better?
That's
Sure. Can you write a ton of story help can AI help you kind of flesh out the stories for the written versions of what we're doing? Absolutely. Right. But at the heart of it, it's this that matters most. That's what's going to springboard. And then you start using all the different technology to help distribute your story, your truth. So
right.
there we go.
And that is the key, right? Because it's almost like if you look back years ago, television was the narrative after radio. And a lot of people moved into doing television commercials, right? And then the essence of really now the internet is here, and the transition is that the phone is now the TV. And now it's how do you eloquently take your content and distribute it? Well, you can dominate by doing what we're doing here, which is do truthful, heart-based or heart-based conversations, but then use the tools like AI and other very sophisticated and technology structured systems to do the distribution for you so that you can get out there without the expense of having people do this work. Now, that's where the big success in what we're doing is based from, which is that we can create these monumental pieces of content that will stay and create a legacy for your business or for your relationships with your customers or whatever you want to use your content for, and get that distributed efficiently and very quickly. So that's why you can do 1,000 pieces of content in a month, because we can take a couple hours of content and then make that content viewable across all these different channels.
Yep.
So
Yep.
the value of AI and the value of systems and the value of approaching a AI domination market is to do what we're doing here, which is to think through what's important for your customer. What's important for you? What are you trying to say? What's the validation of what you're bringing to the market from your heart? And then take that and use the tools that are out there today that are being formulated every single day to become an easier distribution point so that everybody who's looking at their phone, who spends 2 to 3 hours a day in these different channels, let's just call them channels because that's what they are: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, they're spending time there. If you're not there, you probably have to think about why you're not there as you see your competitors.
But and here is on us to be able to tell our story and what people think there is. That's the question. What do you mean I'm not there? I post. I put up 6 posts a week of what, right? Because I know that's the feedback you're gonna get, the pushback, but we are posting. What are you posting? I'm posting, some nonsensical graphic design from Canva
Right.
that nobody can relate to. Oh, great. And you do that, what, 10 times a week? Fantastic. On one channel, it's the same thing over and over again. That's not gonna fly, right? It just isn't. If it makes you feel good, fantastic. I'm all for feeling good. You wanna feel good. But if you actually want to build an audience, people, like I said, I've always said this from day one in social media, and it holds true now. I'd rather have 100 fans and followers that are fully engaged. I mean, talking, chatting, community, than 10,000 that are just passive, right? And that still applies to what we're doing right now, with the storytelling, right? How awesome would it be every day to have 50 fully engaged people listening to you? Just 50. This is not, we're talking about 50 million. You're not The Rock, I'm not some big, I'm not Beckham. We don't have followings of 500 billion people on our social media channels. No, for me, a couple of thousand, maybe a couple of hundred, right? I'm trying to talk to creators and business owners, a couple thousand. Same thing with Matt. That's that's what people have to understand, is that the storytelling is key. The audience, by distributing on all these channels, whatever that number may be, because I also think a lot of business owners use these bigger accounts and personalities as a benchmark of, if I'm not hitting that, then what's the point of all this? And it's waste. But it's not. And it's not. If you're Joe the plumber from, Morristown, New Jersey, that works the 5 surrounding towns of New Jersey, that's all that matters to you. Right? So, you're never going to have 150 million fans like, Beckham or whoever else on social media. You're not going to be that person. You're going to have maybe 1,500, but that's okay. Right? And every day they're going to tune in to your live stream, to your short form videos while you're out on the job. Right? They want to hear what Joe's doing. Right? The crazy stories he's gotten into, and being able to distribute. And now there is, going back to distribution, that is where the talent and know-how comes in. Not everyone would know that. You can tell a story. How it's distributed, that's years of experience. Can you learn it? Sure. Can you learn it, with the short learning curve? Probably not. Right? And that's what we've been talking about here, is that we know that how to jump over that curve, basically, and get to it. Right? So this video you're watching right now, in the next 72 to 96 hours, will be cut up in 100 different ways, right? And posted on 7 or 8 different channels. And within 7 days, right, you'll have thousands of people engaging in the way of a view, a like, a share, a comment. And hey, listen, there's value in just the passiveness of it all. You keep popping up, and that's why I said earlier in this conversation was, some things stay the same, right? Repetition is repetition. That hasn't changed in marketing or advertising. Somebody keeps seeing your face pop up 1, 2, and they don't listen to you. I guarantee you, by like the 10th, 15th time you pop up, they're going to put the volume up. They're like, all right, who is this guy? What are they saying? And well, if you have something interesting to say, that's how you grab them. So, it's a blend of the old with the new. That's what's going on right now. And that's basically life, right? Everything goes in cycles. We're not reinventing, right? It was the Morse code was that, everybody tapping in, doing all of that. Then it went to a phone, then it went to a radio, then it went to a TV, then internet, right? It's everybody wants to engage in this, be told a story, a narrative, as they say some in this industry, a narrative. That we are just at the point now where we're trying to foster it.
Right.
In a massive way. When I say massive, more than it's been historically. Maybe out of 20 businesses, 1, 2 people would do this.
Right. And
Now it's
we're really just starting too, which is the interesting part. I mean, this studio was literally built in just, couple of last months. I mean, we're literally starting from ground zero at this particular point. But we've already started in earnest in the background. And that's one of the other things to think about. There are other ways to capture this. You don't have to be in a podcast studio. You can be at your work location. You can be at a physical office. You can be anywhere. The the mechanics of capturing are certainly rudimentary. You can bring a camera in and start having a conversation, but it's the actual conversation that has to transpose into something which people are willing to participate in, right? So if we're watching something and you're not engaged in it, then it won't matter if it's shot in the best studio on the planet. And I think that's where, trying to have what we've talked about before, which is have the conversations that have meaningful participants in it, like James and I are doing today, who are trying to share some wisdom with you to say, these are things that are going to happen. You can stand by on the sidelines or you can participate. The people who will stand by on the sidelines will eventually be regretting that they didn't start this earlier. And that is the number one problem that we see, which is that I talk to a client and they say, "Oh, I don't know if I could do this. I can do this. I do this." And then what happens? We start and they say to us, "I wish I had done this earlier."
oh, yeah.
Because all of this content is now being produced and being productive, and it's creating engagements and relationships and things that they could have done years ago. Now, was it easy years ago? No.
No.
Is it easy today? Well, I will tell you, it is absolutely a lot better off because of the storytelling lines plus AI. So if you can do domination of a market. You can be 5-mile famous or 50-mile famous or whatever you want. You just have to put the components together. And
I
that's the stuff that we do.
I think compared to, even 10 years ago,
Yeah.
what's different today is that there is a structure to do this, an infrastructure. We're sitting in it.
Right.
Right. I'm one of many happening right now. This is not, I'm not sitting in a vacuum. I'm not the only one. There's tons of people doing what I'm doing now in different ways, right? We're building a structure around it. So it's gone from, yeah, you can fly on your own, pull out your camera, talk, but we are built. Think of it this way. MGM for the common man. Universal Studios for the common man, right? That's, if you want to make it relatable, that's what's happening in the industry right now, is that those big lots that you can never get on when you go to Hollywood, well, they're popping up all over the place now. For what? Not so we could have Brad Pitt and whoever else sitting here and talk. No. So we could have Matt and James and Tom and Harry and Mary and Joanne who do whatever, wherever, right? And that seems to grabs people's attention. So that's the difference, is that we are now building a structure like we did 10, 15 years ago, right? We were like, hey, look, small agencies, because before us 10, 15 years ago, where did you go? I went to Madison Avenue or some big marketing agency that's going to charge me up the yin yang, right? But Matt and I came in and said, hey, listen, you don't got to pay 10,000 a month for advertising. We could do this at,
Right.
half the rate, and it would double the effectiveness, the better the return. And here we are again, taking something that was big and unattainable and now making it attainable. That's what's happening right now.
Well, let's talk about the two truths. So these the two truths that need to be talked about are that, one, capturing content from a business owner, capturing content from a person who's trying to explain something of relevance for their business, their office, their patient base, whatever it might be from a perspective is fine. But the first truth is that you still need hooks. You still need summaries. You still need hashtags and structure. So you need to think also that this isn't just about the capturing of the video. It's actually making this findable by these different social media networks and making it easy for them to recognize and to categorize, to find the interests that someone's looking for. So don't be afraid to actually admit you might not know about that stuff. And if you're willing to learn, you certainly can. Or you work with someone like us, or you work with someone in this category where they can help you find the right aperture size for that particular social media platform, that right summary, those hashtags, that kind of hook that needs to be in the front end of these videos to capture someone's attention because they need to be pulled out of their stream of consciousness that they have, that they're scrolling. You've got to stop that scroll. And the only way to do that is actually find someone who knows what they're doing. The second thing, the second truth, and this is probably the hardest thing for people to swallow, is this is a forever thing. Once you start,
Yep.
you've got to keep going.
Yeah.
And you just can't stop. This is the biggest problem. It's the same thing that we've seen day after day. That people come back and they say, can you guys come back to help me? Right? They've fostered a relationship, let's say with an agency like ours or an agency like somebody who they got started, they got some success, things started to move along and said, okay, I've done enough. This is the continual upgrading of your business or your life or your relationships with your clients, capital, whatever it might be, to continually tell your truth. And this is the important thing to remember. Your legacy is going to be dependent on what you were able to bring to the table. And if you want to do this for real, if you're not fooling around and you're not kicking a rock down the street, the reality is that this is something that you continue to do and that you will become part of the labyrinth of all the rest of the people that are going to be doing this. But you're ahead. You're not falling behind because you're actually getting advanced strategy built into this. So think about this. Your story, the most advanced AI strategies that are out there being engaged, putting that into production, putting that into the internet, then seeing yourself actually making progress. These things make a much better life and actually make you know that you're taking advantage of the things that need to be done today and doing something about building your life and the equity into your business or the equity into your life and your family. So these are the things that are going to change. And if you don't do them, your competitors surely will.
Yeah. No. In one word, consistency.
Correct.
That's what he's saying. Consistency. Like anything else in life, but especially to the point of people starting to notice you, the channels, the platforms, they won't recognize you, the bots, whatever, is pushing your content up if you're not consistent. You show up 1 month, you show up 3 months later, that's not going to fly, right? Our best, and this is what we do, right? And we can, attest to this, is the more content we put up, the more they're distributing. So not to get into the weeds of the technology of these platforms and these channels, but they need to learn, right? AI runs these algorithms. And AI is the definition is a learning machine, right? The same thing goes with your content and consistency of that content. So, this is Mike. He's a plumber. He talks about dogs, plumbing, beer, and pizza, right? And you've said it 100 times in 5 different videos. Now their system is starting to learn, okay, so we're looking for the Mikes in the world, and that's how they're building your audience. So the technology is phenomenal. But again, to what I said before, is it comes down to the content and what Matt just said, consistency, for a multitude of reasons. One, just to be successful at it, you want to keep doing it. But two, technically, these machines need to hear you saying it over and over and over again so they know how to find you, your audience, your customers, your base, whatever you want to call them. So yeah, consistency, authenticity. See, stuff like this we've been talking about in the social media world for years and years and years. But for some reason now it's making a resurgence again because of what we can do now for basically, an affordable rate.
Let's put a summary together here. So you are, let's just say, an interested party. You want to improve your life. You want to improve your business. You want to make things better for your family. You want to have time to spend with your loved one. You actually want to try to get a vacation. You want to put some money in the bank. You want to do all the things that relate to a business or some sort of lifestyle that creates your feeling that you've actually got a purpose that's solving an equation. So we'll summarize this in 5 parts. First is the courage. Do you have the courage to tell your story? If you do, you're on the right path. Number 2, if you have something that you've been able to share that's of value, your wisdom, the time you've spent doing something that's provided value for the world, if you're willing to do that, if you're willing to bring your wisdom into the world, now you're on, again, the right path. The third thing is, are you willing to distribute this? Are you willing to be able to take this material, and are you willing to share it with the world? Those are the first three. The next two are, one, I think that you've kind of come to the conclusion that this isn't easy. You can do it. You can either learn how to do it, or you can use someone like ourselves. You don't have to use us particularly, but anybody who can help you with the technical capabilities. Again, writing summaries and hooks and things that get people to stop in their feeds who are in these social media channels. And then, are you willing to be consistent? You can do it every single week going forward. If you can be courageous, if you can then, second, use your wisdom. Third, willing to distribute. Fourth, willing to do the technical pieces to cut up, put the stuff in production, and then put it into the market. And then five, have that actually go out and be consistent on a weekly, monthly basis. You will inevitably overcome and beat your competitors and be something of legacy for everyone around you to watch your journey of success. If that's what you're willing to do, we can help you. Other companies can help you. You can learn it. But that is the story of today's truth.
And that's the truth.
Yeah.
That's the full truth, the whole truth. Just get to it, man. Tell your story. Get in front of the camera. Say, hey, it's me. I'm James. Nice to meet you. I built a podcast studio. This guy distributes all the content. We're doing it. We're figuring it out.
Yeah.
What I love about it is that we have we've been having these conversations for months now, getting our head around what the hell's going on.
Yep.
Right? It's been amazing to like just, it's kind of fun to see that
We're here.
Yeah, we're here.
This is the story that we've been waiting to tell.
Yeah, this is it. Now it's really actually
Now it's your turn.
Yeah, exactly. So get out there, start telling your story. We're here to capture it, distribute it, make you. I hate the word famous. Is it famous? See, this is what this is what we've been going back and forth with the last month or so. Is it about fame?
No.
No.
I think what it's about, and I've thought about this. You used the word authenticity. I think we all know people in our lives that we regard as important. I think it's becoming something that people trust without any implications of, like, there's a transparency, and maybe that's the word that I've been thinking about, which is the truth. There really isn't anything, and I'll relate this to just a 2-second story. I'm involved in music a lot, and I think what really was interesting is I Googled myself yesterday because I was looking to redo some logo work. So I just Googled my logo, and my summary came up, and I was reading what Google thought of me as a music person. And I read it, and I couldn't believe how transparent it was. It was like literally like they made this up. Like Google and AI is so smart now. It's like it literally said he's played at major festivals and he's worked with these people and he's done this. And it's like the transparency and the truth was like, you can't like hide from what's going on with the reality with AI. So if you really want your wisdom to be out there and your truth to be out there, if you just put it out there, the marketing mechanics of Google and ChatGPT and all this stuff is going to read your transparency. So it's super important to think about this as well, which is that you can't make stuff up anymore. It's really, really, really going to figure out who you are. Do you want that out there, or do you want nothing out there? Yeah. Do you want your competitors to be finding? See, these things are happening. Like there's no more fakeness. There's no more faking anymore. It's like there's too much at stake now. So this is the real story, which is that we are helping people like you not necessarily be famous or become, as I said, 5 Mile famous, but we're becoming people who help you with your authenticity and transparency so that your end users can make a decision faster to work with you because they actually see the real truth. And when people see the real truth, the real you, the real wisdom, they make decisions, and it's that zero moment of truth when they go, okay, I'm going to use this guy, I'm going to work with this guy, I'm going to be with this guy. So that's really, that story resonated with me because I didn't even know it was out there. And it scared me because it was like, holy crap, like these
creepy.
These AI things are really starting to go deep into our worlds.
Sure.
And this is when, if you can tell your truth and your story let's just say, better than your competitors, the chances are your chances at swinging the bat and getting that home run are just so much higher.
Yep.
And it's not an instantaneous thing. That's the key.
Yeah.
It is a build. It's a build over time. And boy, is that mountain, it grows to a certain point where you're unpenetrable. People cannot knock you down because there's no way to knock down the mountain of material that you can put into the market. Plus, here's the kicker, which I found very amazing, is that once we find out what really resonates with the market, then we take that piece of ad and we move it. We take that piece of content and make it into an ad because the interest layer is already telling us, hey, this is what people really like, they want. Take that and put that into an ad. You've tested something that was organically tested for the market. You don't have to spend money on running ads. You can just use stuff that works and then repurpose it.
And I've been saying this whole conversation. It goes back from the old school to the new school. We used to call that market research, market testing. You sit in a room with 12 other people and you talk about cereal, right? And you find out, hey, we all like this part of the cereal. That's exactly what you're doing and free of charge, relatively speaking, right? So yeah, get out there, get on the camera, speak your truth, speak your authenticity. Who knows? Just start. Just start. That's what we say all the time. Sure, we come up with these ideas. You want to do this, you want to do that. Yeah, we got to do it once.
Well, let's focus in on that. This is worth a lot of money. This is worth a legacy of money if you really want to do this correctly. If you do this consistently, you are going to become wealthy if you have value to the market. Because you will be the one who will take advantage of what's happening, and you will be the one who's shown in all of these channels on these phones. You will be the one who people want to trust. If that's what your position is, if you want to become someone who's trusted, someone who's earned the right to be there, then start doing this. Start doing the things that's right for you. This is where the big money comes from. Everybody cares about money. They want to run ads. They want to become valuable to their audience. How about doing just the thing that's good for you, which is to become a part of the labyrinth of this world we're in today, which is the 2 hours that people spend every single day on their phone. Be part of their world, and you can become part of their existence, and you can become part of your own wealth.
I love it.
All right. We'll see you sometime soon.